Good to see everybody. Yeah. Thank you for coming. Thank you for Universal I just love this learning center completely because it's so easy to just come in and sit down, and they make it so easy. But I did tour some of their new products, and they're just unbelievably beautiful. So make sure that you do go by and check those out. So this is a brand new presentation. I've never taught this before other than like one-on-one coaching. So you guys are in luck. And we'll see if I stumble through some things. But if you know me at all, if you've listened to my podcast, you know I'm pretty common sense with things. So if shit happens. So if it does happen, then we'll just keep rolling, right? But also, too, I want you guys to be able to take a lot from it and hopefully fix some of the problems that we have with our messaging. So I titled it Say This, Not That, because I've been watching what's going on. I've been seeing what you all are saying, and some of it's good, some of it's really, really bad. And I want to, if I can, just help us all out by fixing some areas. I couldn't cover all of them, of course, because there's just too many. But I did pick 5 areas that I think would be helpful for all of you. So we're going to jump into that. So if you don't know who I am, that's my big head on there with Dolly Parton behind me. And and if you know me at all as well, you know I do love Dolly Parton. I can be probably found hiding in the bushes of her house at any given time, waiting for her to walk out. But I'm also an interior designer, like most of you. For 16 years now, I've been doing it. Second career for me. Advertising was first, believe it or not. And then I started my podcast about 3 years ago called The McClain Method, and I just love it. I love being able to just turn the mic on and chat with people. So if you don't listen to the podcast, please do. It's completely free, of course, and it's just kind of like I need to probably remind myself that there are people listening sometimes and not say some of the things that I say, but I love it and I love the feedback, so please do that. I also have a learning platform for designers, as you see some of the literature, called The McClain Method. Very narcissistic, but it sounded good with alliteration, so it works. And so check that out too. There's lots of products there and templates and so forth. I have a book called The Designer Within, and you can scan over there if you want to order a signed copy. I'm happy to send that to you. But mostly, I'm a fan of Dolly, but I'm mostly your biggest fan, and that sounds so cheesy, but it's so true. Because when I started my firm, I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea. Even when I had a business degree, and I still had no idea. So now I'm really trying to give back in lots of ways to help all of you out, which is why I do what I do, and I love it. I truly love it. So let's jump in. So I want to start with this to remind all of you. I think a lot of us think that marketing just means put out more, like keep going, like post on Instagram and da-da-da-da-da. And yes, that is important, but what you're saying behind that, to me, is so much more important. The messaging has to start on every single thing that you do. It has to be on your website, on your social media, in person, and it has to be consistent. So you're not invisible, that we see you, you're just kind of forgettable in the messaging, unfortunately. The messaging is not resonating. You're not speaking to that client that you're wanting to reach. I know on Instagram in particular, I go on and I'm like, I think you're talking to a designer. You're getting your kicks from a designer telling you how beautiful the project was. And that's great, but that's not going to get you clients, right? That's not going to bring in new clients for you. But the messaging that you create that sounds like you and that resonates with your client, that is what's going to make you memorable. And there's lots and lots of ways to do that, and we're going to cover some of those. So the real problem is you're not talking to the wrong audience. You're just talking like you don't know who the heck they are. You're talking to them like they're just any Joe Schmo on the street when you should be speaking to your client. If you're speaking to a client who, let's say you, like us, we design homes mostly for busy families. So the husband and wife both work. They usually have 2 to 3 kids. They want a home that they can entertain in, that they can show off to their neighbors. and they want durability. So I know my audience. I know exactly who my client is. And if you thought about it, and I hope you have thought about it, and if you haven't, I encourage you to definitely think about your client, but not just who they are, but what their pain points are. What is keeping them up at night? I always start on the discovery call. I say, what prompted you to call me right now? Right this minute, what prompted you to call me? And they're going to tell you this horrible situation, this one thing that just happened. The kids got jelly on the sofa and they can't take it anymore, or, the dog threw up on the rug or whatever, or the neighbors came over and they were so embarrassed because their house just got renovated and mine didn't. If you ask that question, they're going to tell you what they're really, really hurting with at that moment. But generic language, too, is no connection. So if you're just saying, I'm an interior designer and I design beautiful spaces, like, nobody cares. Nobody cares. We all do that. We all do that. You're all talented. I know you are. But nobody cares that you design beautiful spaces. You have to find a connection with that person. Like I mentioned Dolly Parton. Now you guys are going to think about Dolly Parton when you see me, right? So it's those little stories, those little things that make you stand out and different, not only with your own self, but with your clients too. So when you know your client inside and out, you know where they take vacations, you know where they eat, what restaurant they go to, you know what they do on the weekends. When you know that client inside and out, your messaging will just start to roll off the tongue. So try not to appeal to everyone. This is a problem that a lot of us do. I'm going to put this down. A lot of us try to appeal to every single person. And when you try to talk to everyone, you're talking to no one. And you're missing the boat when you're trying. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, oh my gosh, I can't exclude anyone because I might need that client. And I will tell you this, when you exclude the people who you either, let's say that you had someone come in for, call you for French country design, and you've never done French country in your life, right? So that's not the client for you. You're not going to know where to shop. You're not going to know how to decorate that home. You're not going to know what to do for that client. You need to stay in your wheelhouse and speak to that client at all times on everything. And it's going to repel the ones who shouldn't be calling you. It will. And you'll see the numbers drop on calls when you start to do this, but you're going to see the quality of the ones who actually do call you go up. It's going to super increase. It scared me to death when I started putting things on my website, like minimums of projects and product purchase minimums. It scared me to death because we went from 5 or 6 discovery calls a week to 1 or 2. But the 1 or 2 turned into actual projects because they knew that they like me and we like them. And then the messaging, the website, the Instagram, all the things was really filtering them out ahead of time. And it was eye-opening in so many ways. So yes, you will lose some people, but you're going to get much better people when you directly speak to that client. Everything that you do should be speaking to that client. I also want you to have a clear point of view. You can't just be this sea of sameness. I scroll Instagram sometimes and the rooms all look the same, and then I can tell y'all found AI because all the words sound the same now. So it's oh my gosh, can somebody please stand out differently? So think about what you can say differently that gives you a clear point of view that makes you special. It can be where you came from. My family built homes. They were home builders. I know construction inside and out. I really do. And I think a lot of these, builders, I go in, they think I'm going to walk in as a gay guy with a boa and a big dress on. And I'm and I go in, I get on the floor under the tub and I'm working with the plumbing. And I'm no, that's not how you do it. So it's just when you have that clear point of view, people will remember you and they will trust you more too. And that not only goes for your clients, but it also goes for people that you associate with in the industry too. Okay. So this is going to be maybe something different than what you've heard before, but I want you to really let this resonate with you. Stop making them think. The human brain is made to conserve energy. And I'm not a scientist, but I know this for a fact. People don't want to think. They want simple. They want straight to the point. They want something that is uncomplicated. And if your messaging is too complicated, your clients are burning calories. And it sounds silly, but it's true. They're burning calories trying to even figure out what you do. If you're just very vague and non-specific and you don't talk about the type of projects that you work on or how you have a process or what that process is, they're going to be totally confused if you're using a lot of jargon that never works. And when they burn calories, much like me at the gym, I leave, right? So I'm sick of it. So you don't want to make people think too much. I call it a low cognitive load. So speak to them I write my agreement, for instance. I told my attorney, I said, I want to write this agreement to a 7th grade education level. And I did. Every client understands it. Every attorney understands it. So I also brought that into messaging. So think now what you've done. And again, a lot of those IG posts where I see where Mr. ChatGPT has written them for you, those sound a little too jargony, a little too heavy, a little too fancy. And I think the more we go into this new era of AI, we're going to see that this truly clear point of view that you have is going to mean so much more than just copying someone else's words that they gave you, okay? Here's your new mantra. If you confuse, you will lose, okay? If you confuse your client, if they don't know who you are, if they don't know what projects you serve, how you can serve them, what process you have, how you price things, if you have any minimums, if they don't know that, and if you confuse them in your messaging, you're going to lose. They're not even going to call you. They're not even going to schedule the discovery call, to be honest with you. They're just going to look at your website, get totally confused by it, look at your IG, get totally confused by it, and then they're never going to even reach out to you. If it does get to the discovery call, you're going to see that there's tons and tons of questions, things that should have been already answered on your website, on your pre-marketing that you do. And by vetting them out ahead of time, you will do that with your messaging. So when you confuse, you will lose in so many ways. And here's the truth. If your messaging doesn't hit a real pain point, it will not convert. So as I said, if you are not hitting that client who wants to have a home better than their neighbors, who wants to save money on their renovation, who wants just to, we had a client once who her goal was to cook dinner while she had her kids do homework in the kitchen. She kind of casually mentioned it. It wasn't why they called us, but that's what she mentioned to me. And I'm like, okay, this is your pain point. So I kept repeating back that pain point to her during the consultation, like what, I use the words that she uses. So if a client says, I'm overwhelmed, or I'm exhausted with this, or I just can't think about it anymore, or I've wasted so much money, start repeating that back to them, and they're gonna think that, oh my gosh, she's in my head. She gets exactly what I'm saying. And it's really a powerful sales tool that you don't even know. It's so effortless to do, but it's really important to kind of be a chameleon with your clients and relay that back to them. Clear messaging stops you from doing free consultations on discovery calls and starts closing those pre-qualified clients. I know that you might have a discovery call that you may think is going to be 20 minutes or 15 minutes, and then you end up redesigning their whole home on that call. Guilty, anybody? Because you felt like it's going somewhere. If that client is calling you, expecting you to give them a full home redo verbally on a call, that's the wrong client for you. And you have not done your part in vetting them out. You've not done your part in messaging that needed to be done ahead of time. Clarity equals trust plus profitability. That's an easy calculation, but it's a very important one to remember, because when you are clear with people, Brene Brown says, clear is kind. When you are clear with people, it is kind to them, because you're weeding out the ones who should not be coming to you. And you're being kind to yourself too by not wasting your time. Like if you counted up all the wasted time that you probably spent with clients who, again, had either no business calling you and probably no business even calling a designer to begin with, right? But those are out there as well. If you add that up, like that's a lot of time, and I don't have time. Time is the one thing I don't have enough of. I don't know about you. So when someone takes more time from me and I don't get anything in return from that, unless my mom, I'll listen to her talk. She rattles on I just lay the phone down sometimes and she just keeps going. But she thinks I'm listening. I'm like, yep. But when you vet them out before, is my point, you stop wasting everyone's time, okay? And that's important to remember. So the reality is, your client is not calling you to hire a designer. They're calling you to solve the problem that they've been dealing with forever. It's come to a head now. They can't take it any longer. This is why they're calling you, and your job is to figure out what that is. So some of the things I have here are what really are the pain points, the things that are hurting the clients, the things that is annoying to them. This is what they're going to say. My home doesn't feel finished. I want it elevated, but I want to also be able to live in it, not like a museum. I've spent so much money and it still doesn't look right. What have I done? You know the clients who they keep buying the same thing. They're buying them, they're trying, and it ends up never working. So they have like 4 area rugs in the other room that they want you to pick the best one out. And I'm like, they're all crap. They're all the wrong size. Like, they're all bad. You could have hired me once and fixed all this. And the one I hear a lot too is, I don't have time to figure this out. That was the that was honestly the kind of how I figured out who our clients were, because they all said, I don't have time. I just don't have time to do this. I don't have time to go and think about these things. And I don't want to do that, because they're running businesses. A lot of them are, right? They're C-suite executives. They're successful people. So they don't have the time to do that. And then when you can come in as the savior and say, oh my gosh, I will take that off of your plate. You're going to hire me, and then your home's going to be finished. That's all they need to hear to know that you're the right person. And I want you to, again, remember, think about the problem that you're solving for them. The problem should be always mixed in with your messaging. Always, 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 whatever you do. Okay, now we're going to get into the say this and not that. So these are, again, things I've explored and seen that some of us have done. Not raising any hands, but you all. So instead of just being general with things, right? So instead of saying, I offer full service interior design, it's kind of, right? Like, okay, well, first of all, what does full service interior design even mean? It's a big pet peeve of mine. I'm not going to get on that, but I hate it when y'all say full service interior design, and the client's like, well, what is full service interior design? And you're like, well, it's just full service interior design. That's what it is, right? Don't you know? They don't know. So think about that. That's a lot. I see that a lot. Or like custom tailored solutions for your home. Like, oh my gosh. Again, high cognitive load, low meaning is behind that. You could say something very simple like, I help you create a home that finally feels finished and pulled together. Again, 7th grade education level. Everyone understands what that means. It's very, very simple and hits the point for that person. And I'm going to show you where to put all of this in a minute, like where all of this can live, like in real life, other than just like on the computer screen. So go from talking about your services. Stop talking about your services. Yes, they have a place to be talked about. And that place could be when you start to get more involved with a client after the discovery call on the consultation. But talk more about outcomes. Talk more about what you're going to do for them. Talk more about what the result is going to be. And I always have stories in my head of past clients or even my own home and things that I did there that made a real, real difference. Have those stories ready to tell, and then tell this client, yeah, I did this for the Smiths down the street, and we, gutted their entire home. We changed the floor plan. The family loves it. They spend time at the dinner table. Like whatever that person is feeling that they need, speak to that outcome. And then also you need to move from talking about features, like oh my gosh, I have this and I do that and da-da-da. They want to know what the transformation is. They don't really care about how to get there, and not at this point. On your messaging, on your marketing, they don't care. When you start working with them, yes, like I have an 18-step process that I follow from like beginning to end. I never veer from it. I don't care what happens. It's my process. It is literally how we go. I'm not going to pull that 18-step process out on the initial meeting with the client and start rattling on about that. They don't care. They're still having this wish list in their heads of things that they want to do, and your job is to say, I hear that. I can do that, okay? So again, very, very low. But when you talk about the transformation, that's powerful. The thing that they're actually paying you for is the transformation, is the end result. And for instance, on our website, we have this little area that I tested out once, and I said, let's just do a before and after. It's not pretty, the befores are ugly, but let's just do that. And I kind of stuck it to the side in our portfolio on the website. And I was surprised at looking at the numbers of how many people went straight to that before and after versus like this lovely little scroll. I'm like, no, go to the pretty one on the front of the page, right? No, they were going to that because they could see the transformation that was being done. So that's what they're wanting to see, and that's what they're wanting to hear from you, is that transformation. And to be honest with you, that's all you're selling as a designer. You're not selling the fact that, oh, I charge by the hour, or I'm a flat fee, or I'm going to take 8 weeks. It's not that. They don't care about logistics. We all know that a plane ticket gets us from point A to point B. We want to know where we're going when we get to that destination, right? And that's what they want to know as well. They don't care about the how at this point. They care about what you're going to do to get them there. So, I know probably a lot of you now are going through your head thinking that conversations that you may have had where you focused on like all the steps of everything versus, or your menu of services versus what the outcome was for that client. Okay, so shift the spotlight. Your client has the problem, and guess what? You are the solution. Ta-da! You are. We overcomplicate it. We put too many things in there. We put too many words in play. We put too many obstacles, and we're our own worst enemy when it comes to marketing. We say too much sometimes. So stop leading with your portfolio. or your accolades. No one gives a rip where you went to school. No one even cares if you did go to school, right? And I know a lot of us didn't, and that's great. They want to know how you can, again, fix their home. They want to know how you can renovate their home without disrupting their lives. They want to know how you can choose the right furniture for them that their kids can play on, but then they can have a party on the weekend. That's what they want. So you're going to lead with those pain points and those frustrations right away. You're going to have them everywhere. It's going to be rolling off your tongue. Like, I helped this homeowner do this. That's what you're going to be talking about. It's going to become such common sense for you to do this. It's going to become just literally part of your vocabulary when you start to do it more, and you're going to feel much more natural doing it too. So think back on projects that you've worked on, and what transformation you provided for those clients and what they said to you. I had a client once who I didn't think the guy had any emotions whatsoever. He was this big gruff guy, and then we finished his house and the guy started crying and telling me that we did exactly what he wanted us to do. And so I was crying, my team was crying, we were all just crying, and I was like, oh my God, he actually has a heart. The Grinch's heart grew 3 times that day, right? But it was so interesting. We were in the moment, but I also listened to what he said to me, like, no one else has done this for me before. I didn't think this was possible for my own space to feel like this. I had no idea that you could even take my ideas and make them into something that I love so much. So those are the pain points that I heard him say at the end as well. And then I brought that into other marketing things that we did for other clients like that. And then you need to show them that you have the exact roadmap to do this. So you can't just say, I'm going to give you this transformation. You need to let them know that you do have a plan in place for that. So I keep it kind of light in general from that point. I don't really go into the 18 steps. I keep it more in phases. So you don't want to overwhelm them, but they do want to know that you can do what you say you're going to do. And especially if they're handing you a check for $500, $600, $1 million, they need to know that you're going to take care of that money for them. I don't even care how much money it is. Money's a neutral number to me. It's neutral. I don't care because money to someone with a starter home, $100,000, is the same amount of money as someone with a $6 million home, and they're giving me $1 million. And I don't treat them any differently. So I'm not trying to say that. I'm trying to say value. They want to know that you're valuing what they give you, whatever that amount is, okay? Okay, so here are the 5 areas that we're going to discuss today. We're going to talk about marketing in general, everyday language. And these are like when you're out at a chamber of commerce or at a network function or a realtor association, those type of things. Initial contact, which is probably kind of the most important because they are looking to come to you to solve a problem. They're coming to you to solve a problem. The consultation is critical because they've decided to move forward to take a step with you. And then the general client experience. I don't stop marketing and messaging after I get the client. It continues on after they're working with us because I'm always thinking about, I can upsell them. They didn't talk about their kitchen, but I really don't think their kitchen is good. I think I can probably upsell them on that. So the messaging continues, and I do sell a lot of those actually. I want you to always be thinking, what can you do to keep sending that same message to that client? And then that client's going to tell other people that you solved their problem, or that you are so great to work with, or your team is so great to work with, and they're going to refer you. And we all know referrals are gold. They're just amazing. But if there's no validation behind that referral, if they don't know why they're referring you, then you need to tell them why. You need to show them the reasoning why that you're the right one for them and their neighbor and their cousin and their mom, all those people. So marketing, fix number 1. Does marketing scare anybody? Or not scare, but do you all just go, oh God, marketing? Anyone feel that way? Yeah, I know, right? And it's a lot. And if we look at it as a whole, if we look at it as okay, it's a big old marketing thing, a big old bucket, how am I going to fill that? That's the wrong way. You need to start to break it down. But if your marketing is not a conversation, okay, it's dead end, it's going to stop. I want you to have a conversation. I want you to think about someone sitting across from you, this perfect client, and think about a perfect client that you have right now in your head. That perfect client sitting across from you, you're telling them what you can do. They just bought a new house. They want you to do that. You can tell them what you're going to do for them and how you're going to make this new home for them perfect. Have a conversation. Don't just speak at them, speak with them, okay? It's really important that you do that. And I'm not just talking about in person. That's important as well. But I'm talking about in your marketing, in your messaging, on your website. It should feel as if someone should go to your website and read the first sentence and say, oh my God, I have that problem. Yeah. And then they should want to keep scrolling down on your website because you're having that conversation. It's just continuing. So here's the problem. I know how you feel. I've had many clients, or I've felt the same way. Here's how I can work with you on that. Here's what I do. That's what they want to feel. They want to continuously read that and engage with you. So that's important to think about everything as a conversation. Marketing a lot of time is focused on the firm. We did this, we won that, we've had these website, these blah, 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 accolades. And I did too in the beginning. Again, they don't care. They want to know that you're valid. They want to know that you have validity as a designer, but you don't need to hammer it in their face right away when they go to your website. You need to, again, speak to them in this conversational method of solving their problem, of providing that transformation. And then also the last one is, what do they do? What do I, okay, I like this, but what do I do? What is the next step that they take to work with you? It should be, again, right between the eyes on the website. It should be so simple and so easy. I was talking yesterday and I said, literally, I have step one because people don't want to think. So I put step one, call me on the discovery call. It's easy, right? Like it's just right there in their face. So if you don't make it easy for someone to know who you are, know how you can fix their problem, and then clearly find a way to the next step to work with you, you're missing a lot of people. You should be waking up every morning with discovery calls booked in your email. You really should. There should be a way they go to your website, book that discovery call, automation happens, they schedule on the calendar, you should get that email. And if you set it up right with your messaging and with this next step, you can do that. So I want you to make it simple for people. Don't overcomplicate it. All right, now moving on to the website and a little more in depth, it should do three things, okay? It should clearly, and see, again, simple, three things. By the way, threes are magic. If you can speak to people in threes, like bullet points of threes, it's a marketing amazement. It works so well. So on your website, say what you do. Again, specific, not general, very specific. Show who it's for, show who the client is, talk about that client, talk about the family, talk about the busy professionals, talk about an older generation, baby boomers, whoever it is that you are targeting, speak to them right there. And then tell them what to do next. That's it. That's all they're wanting. They're just wanting to come there and see that you can do this, and then you tell them what they can do next. That's all they're needing. They're not needing all this hullabaloo of, oh, I just won the designer of the year, blah, blah, blah. They don't need that. They don't want that. They don't really care. Especially the higher luxury level you get, they really don't care. I knew my marketing was working when I did a consultation with a lady, and she said to her husband, she was like, yeah, John is the #1 designer in the entire country. And I was like, nobody ever said that. Not one person. But in her head, my marketing had done its job to her to say, like, oh yeah, I'm bringing in a team of people who are good. I'm bringing in a team of people who understand us, and I trust them to work with us and trust him to take our money and take good care of it. So when your marketing is working for you, things like that will happen on their own. It'll happen just like as a behind the scenes thing. So when you do it right, the messaging will continue on even if you're not speaking. Here's something too. So instead of saying, I wanted to give you some specifics here. So instead of saying, welcome to our award-winning design firm, like so simple, so who cares, nobody cares. You can say something like this: we handle every design detail so that your busy family can stop thinking about your home and start living in it. Ta-da! What busy couple with kids would not read that and say, yes, that's exactly what I want? Everyone would. If that is your ideal client, that is what they need to hear. They need to hear this specific message. So you see how specific I got with that. And actually, this is part of our messaging that we use. They come there to our website or to our social media or wherever they are, and they see this statement, and that's exactly what they want. They don't want to have to think about their home on the weekend. They have no place to put the kids' bags in the hallway when they come home from school. They don't want to think about how messy the kitchen is because there's no storage. They don't want any of that. They want you to be the person who says, I see you. You're a busy family. You need this to be fixed. I'm going to fix it for you. That's really, really all it is. And people just want to live in their homes and enjoy their homes. And guess what? You're the person, the firm who can do that. So, lift the fog with a plan, okay? Now, your steps don't have to be this. You don't have to copy this verbatim. What I wanted to show you was how simplified I want you to make this, okay? So yours could be, I like a 3-step plan because it's like easy for people to comprehend, as I said. So give them a 3-step plan. 1, schedule a free call with me. You can call it clarity call, discovery call, chitty chat, I don't care, but whatever it is, just let them know what that first call is, okay? So step 1, oh my gosh, I call her. Great, that's easy. Step 2, you review your custom design plan. Ta-da, that's just like easy for them to understand. Now yours could be something else here. It could be we create a design plan for you and present everything, whatever that is, just that generalized big chunk of time in the middle, right? So after they sign, we have that big chunk of time where we're like working at our desk and pulling fabrics and going to this high point and selecting things. That is what that middle step is. And then the last one is you walked into a finished home that you love. Big, right? Like that's just like, okay, I got it. I call them. They give me a design plan. And then I walked into a home that I love. How simple is that? How easy is that? There's low cognitive load for that. Everybody can understand that when they see it. So again, it doesn't have to be this, but it should be something that is simple. And I like the 3 steps. So think about what 3 steps you can start using as your sort of like pathway to heaven for that client, the thing that's going to transform everything for them. Now on your website, specifically, I like specifics, you'll see. On your website, I want you to think about so if you have that little button, and you should, the little button that says, learn more, come and blah, 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 all these things that you have now, I want you to forget about these, and I want you to start getting specific with those buttons. So instead of saying, learn more, click here, call me, whatever, I want you to say, start your project. Schedule your consultation. Let's start your home transformation today. That wording on that little button, it seems simple, you guys, but it's really, really important. It's really important because it continues that messaging that you're doing. So as innocent as that little button is that says, click here or whatever, you should think about your client and what they're looking for, and that should be what that button says. So whatever that is for you, all over your website, I want you to go through and think about rechanging the words on that and revising them just a bit. And side note, I didn't have this in here, but when they're on your website, on the front page of your website, and they're scrolling and they see something they liked and they continue to read, the conversation is going, you should have multiple spaces for them to click and work with you. Don't just wait till the bottom that say, hey, click here and call me. Have multiple touch points because their mind is going to be triggered at different parts. They're going to read one sentence and say, oh, I need to schedule something. So you want to make it easy. That button should be right there. I like to have 3 on almost every page with that. So depending upon how long the page is on your front page. But if you treat it like a conversation, you're going to have a few more words on there. They're going to be concise words that mean something, but there are going to be more words on there when you start to rewrite your website to speak to that person. Pretty photos do not position you, okay? And what I mean by this is, again, now we're talking Instagram. I don't care how pretty the photo is, it doesn't mean anything to someone. Yeah, okay, pretty photo, what else? So if you're like, I love designing this kitchen so much, so great, with a heart, nobody cares. And you only show a picture of it. That doesn't matter to that person. I want you to explain the transformation and speak to the lifestyle of your client, and then the outcome that happened with that. So as I said, I'm looking at your Instagrams, and you're probably all, I hope, feeling guilty about this. You're just copying your Chat GPT or Claude and putting it on there. I mean, I'm telling you, some of the people I see are so verbose now. I'm like, you could barely put 2 words together and say 2 things in the beginning, and now you're literally telling me a whole long dissertation about every single word and pourquoi and da-da-da. I'm like, what are you talking about? So just keep it simple. Just, what you did, why you did it, why you chose that tile, and speak to that. So explain the transformation. So example, this space was designed for a client who wanted gorgeous natural finishes, but also needed it to be durable and easy to clean. Mom and kids approved. It hits the pain point. A mom with kids says, oh my gosh, that's beautiful. I can have that. But I bet my kids can't use it. I just told her, your kids can use it. We solved that problem. So whatever you post on your social media or wherever that is, think about how you're speaking to that person and speak to the outcome. So you're talking to them, and we're still talking about the outcome, that transformation of it. It will change everything. Your posts will start to dramatically increase. Your followers will increase because people who are looking for that type of designer are going to find you in your area. They're going to find you just because of that messaging. So lead capture. So what I mean by this is, a lot of your marketing is just like, follow me, yay, follow me. Nobody cares. Again, I keep saying nobody cares because we're not talking to them. So if you're just like, follow me for more inspo, that doesn't matter. Not everyone is ready to follow you right now. Not everyone is ready to work with you right now. You need to have a system that they can jump into and continue to work with you, continue to remember you. So I do that with what I call, so CTA is a call to action. So the call to action could be in your bio on your Instagram, a free download. My top 5 ways for redesigning a kitchen, or my favorite paint colors for light-filled homes, or whatever it is that you want to put on there. You don't have to be an expert. I was just talking to someone yesterday. They said, I feel like an imposter, like imposter syndrome, and I know that's prevalent in our industry. You don't have to be an expert. You just have to know 10% more than the person beside you to be considered an expert. So I know a lot of, and I'm not joking, so a lot of you I know feel like, oh, who am I to say this? Who am I to talk like this to my clients? You are the expert. I want you to start acting like it, and I want you to start speaking to your clients as if you are. So when you make these free downloads and these guides, what you're doing is you're bringing people into your world. So if someone goes through this and they're like, oh, I love that kitchen. I don't need a kitchen right now. In a year, they buy a new house. Then they need a kitchen. And then they're on your email list. And then you've been nurturing them. And then you've been sending newsletters out and emails out. And now they're following you without even saying, follow me. So all of this rolls back into this one big circle of communication, because you're not leaving anyone out. They're coming to you in different stages. They're coming to you at different times, but you're grabbing them when they come to you. So on your website, think about a simple little thing. I've had one on there forever. Like, I'm so tired of looking at it, but it converts so well. It's like top tips to design like a pro or something silly like that. But everybody loves it because it's like, oh, secret design tips from a pro. So the headline matters too as well. But I want you to just think about something that you can do, something that comes so easily to you. And with AI now, with all the things, it does need to be a little more detailed. It can't just be something that you copied and pasted from that, because they can get that on their own. So think about some sort of like intellectual property that you have, something that you did specifically, something that pertains only to your firm or your clients or your situation or where you live or whatever it is. Think about something that is really, really specialized. General information is going away. Everyone can get general information thanks to AI. So you need to think about past projects and specifically what you did in those past projects and how you can turn that into something. But on your website and on your social media should live a place where they can get this free download. And you're going to use something like Flowdesk or Kit is another one. Whatever you use, Flowdesk is really good for designers. It's easy. It's kind of visual as well, and it's very easy to set up. You just put a little email, name, and I know we're not marketers and we hate doing things like this, but this simple change alone on your website and in your bio on social media will start to grow your email list by leaps and bounds. And then you're going to have a pipeline of people sitting there without even thinking about it. And they're going to feel like they know you. They're going to feel as if they were with you on that last install because you told them all about it, okay? So really think about how you can get those people no matter when they come into your world. We've had people who have signed up for this and then reach out for 5 years. But you know what? They reached out because we were continuously updating them with that. I can drink of water, y'all, for 1 second. And now AI, okay? So AI can help you, but I don't want it to replace your voice, right? I don't want it to be this copy and paste thing where you're like, oh yeah, this is great because it sounds so good. And I know we're all busy and we all want to use AI because it takes a weight off of us. And by the way, I'm teaching an AI webinar on May 14th if you guys want to join that. I'll tell you more about that in a minute. But the key is to make it sound like you. The key is to change the back end of AI to have your voice. I uploaded probably 30, 40 stories about my life into AI, and it will pull those out at the most random times as I'm doing a newsletter. And it's like, oh yeah, that story about your mom, that would fit in perfectly here. So it's amazing how it will work for you if you train it who you are. but don't just open it up, as I said, like a junk drawer and pull something out and put it back in. A lot of you are like, new chat every day, and it's like, who the heck are you? Like, I don't know. But don't copy and paste everything as it says. I want you to refine it. I want you to read it. I want you to put your spin on it. If it doesn't sound like you, don't put it out there. Everyone can tell, and especially if you're speaking to a potential client and they read that and they maybe your website was great, but your social media caption was like, what? They're not going to call you. There's a disorientation there that happens. They're not going to feel aligned with you because your messaging wasn't consistent. So always, always, always refine it. Fix number 2. Oh God, we're only on number 2. Geez, I gotta hurry up. Fix number 2, everyday language. So this is on those everyday times when you're at a meeting or you're at a realtor association or a chamber of commerce or anything. I don't want you to sound too professional with this. I want you to stop overly, these big words, these formal, complicated explanations that you're doing. We provide comprehensive design solutions. No, you could say, we help you create a home that actually works for how you live. So you see the difference there of how low the cognitive load is on that, how easy it is for someone to say, yep, that's it, I get it. So stop trying to sound like fancy pantsy antsy and all these things. You don't have to. You're just there to solve a problem, and you need to find something that works for you. Now, don't just copy. Now, AI can give you a formula for it and say, here's a sentence. I want you to read that sentence, and if you don't feel comfortable saying that sentence out loud, you should not put that anywhere in your marketing. If you could not feel comfortable verbally saying that sentence to someone, it should never be in your world. Remember that. So no matter how great it sounds, if it's something that you can't repeat on autopilot, it's not going to work for you. So ditch the fancy words, y'all. I do call it autopilot selling, as a matter of fact. So when you know your business inside and out, when you know exactly who you serve, how you serve them, what you do, you don't even have to think about it. It's on autopilot. Everything you say sounds natural. Everything you say just rolls off the tongue. You know who you're speaking to. And by the way, if you are at an event, and let's say you're talking to a colleague, and a little tip I like to do is this. People can be nasty at times, even your colleagues. So if someone says, how's business? And maybe business isn't so good right now. You say, it is great. I have this new prospect that I'm thinking about. We're working on this past project that we're finishing. Don't bring yourself down to anyone. Don't lower the quality of your business just because you want to commiserate with someone. By doing that, it's going to put little seeds in your head, and you're going to remember those, and it's not good. And that person is going to leave that conversation. And what if you don't see them for a year? What's their last memory of you? Oh my God, she was so mad at this client who da-da-da-da. It's like, nobody wants that. So try to always be on autopilot and putting your business in a bright spot, in a happy place. And I'm not saying lie at all. I'm saying you talked about the positives because there are always positives going on. There are always things that we can find that are positive. You're at High Point now. That's a positive. Even if you had no clients right now, how are you? Oh my God, I'm so great. I was at High Point. I saw all these amazing things, like this new leather I found, whatever. It's all in the way that you represent your brand at all times. And when we're down and when we talk negatively about ourselves, it's going to ingrain that into other people's heads. And I don't want that for any of us, okay? Number 3, initial contact. So this is when you first hear from that client, when they first reach out to you on that chitty chat we talked about, right? So remember this, the filter. You are attracting right now, but you're not filtering. So you're bringing people in, but are you filtering them out? Are you filtering them before they get to you? Do you have minimums on your website? I have a minimum on our website to work with us for a creative fee. As if you know me, I call it creative fee. I don't call it design fee because I want clients to know that we are creatives. We're not just there to schlep things around, okay? But when you put these things on your website, like your minimums, like I have my minimum for products on the website, and I have the minimum for our creative fee. They know. And when I did that, as I said, it did lower the number of calls that we got. It did stop the number of people who were reaching out, those like so-called tire kickers, right? But the ones who did get to us were really good. But not every inquiry is a fit. Not every inquiry is someone who should be coming to you to work with you, to pay you. They don't know. I've told this story before too, so if you've heard it, forgive me, but it kind of drives the point home. I did a consultation in Beverly Hills, in the hills of the Hollywood Hills, actually, and I did the consultation, this huge renovation. It needed everything, and I was really excited about it. This was early on in my career. And I did it, and I sent over the proposal, and it was like $50,000, I think, or something. And he was like, $50,000? I thought it was $50 an hour that I was going to pay you. And I said, where the bleep did you get that? And he was like, I Googled it. And I was like, okay, what are we putting out into the world? So remember, when you all, as a design industry, are lowering your pricing and lowering your standards, it affects every single one of us, whether you know it or not. When you do something that denigrates the industry, it denigrates it for all of us, and I don't want that. So have pride in what you do, but also make sure that your messaging is doing that heavy lifting of weeding those people out and getting rid of those people, those tire kickers, so to speak, as I said, who don't respect you and your process. Because if you say, yeah, I work with a process, it's like for us, we had a client once who was like, okay, I'm going to call you this day for the discovery call, and then the consultation is this day. I'm like, yep, that's how, yeah, perfect. And she said, okay, I need the plans in a week. And I was like, you're smoking something. That's not going to happen. No. And she was trying to revise our entire process, and I clearly laid it out, by the way. Not only do I have my steps laid out, I have the time frame beside it. So this is going to take 2 to 4 weeks. This is going to take 6 to 8 weeks. She was trying to turn 12 weeks into 1 week. So my team was so shocked when I was like, no, I'm not taking that. I can tell now that she's not going to respect us. But by putting that messaging out ahead of time, by telling her that we have a process and that we respect it, it should have weeded her out, but she didn't even read it. But when I reiterated it to her, then it hit home, and I was like, I'm not going to do that. I don't care how much money you're going to spend with us. Because again, when you veer off your schedule, it's going to just screw the whole process up for you. As I said before, set those expectations for your investment as well ahead of time. Instead of asking them what's your budget, and I hate the word budget, by the way, but I did that because I know a lot of you are saying that. Try to use investment if you can. It just sounds like more return on their investment, more what they're getting back for working with you. So instead of asking them to do that, and by the way, a client should never know what their budget is. It's not their job to do that. It's our job to know that. So it's our job to educate them on what a project costs. I have an investment guide that I send out when they book the discovery call. I send out an investment guide, and that investment guide has a low, mid, and high for different products. So when they get that, I have this intelligent conversation with them, and you can get that on my website, by the way. But I have this intelligent conversation with them of what do you fall into? What category are you a mid for a sofa, or what do you consider expensive for a sofa? And then I can have that conversation continuing on the discovery call. Now, some people get that guide, and they're like, nope, I don't fall into any of these. Great. Go to IKEA. I don't care. Whatever. Like, do that. Wayfare yourself to death. I don't care. But the ones who read it and are like, oh, yeah, I'm a mid for this. And then for kitchen renovations, I'm probably a low on that one. So we can work with whatever they have as long as we're clear on what the expectations are. But way that you could say this is to say most of our projects begin around $150,000, right? And that includes da-da-da-da-da. So have a statement to say to that client. Instead of saying, what is your budget? You tell them what most of your projects are. Look back on your data, look back on your project, look back on what you did. When you finish a project, you should totally analyze that project to death. Like, you should read over everything, the time you spent on it, how much money was spent on what products, how long it took. All those things are so critical to be able to bring that into future clients. So never just close a project out without sitting down and like thoroughly reviewing that. It'll make all the difference when you start to speak to people going forward. The consultation, number 4. So the consultation should not be where you're convincing them. If you've done your job with your marketing, all you're going to be doing at that consultation is confirming that you are the right person for them and that they are the right person for you. That is what the consultation is supposed to do. Yes, you have the things that you need to do physically during that consultation, but it's not where you're having to do this like song and dance of like convincing them. Like, you've already done that. You've done that on your website. You've done that on your social media. You've done the hard work. You've done all those things. Now, you're just confirming on both of your parts that it's the right fit. And I tell clients, we have to have a synergy. We have to get along. We're going to be up in each other's business for like a long time. So let's make sure that not only are we fixing your problem and giving you a transformation, but we also actually get along with each other. So instead of saying, let me know how you'd like to move forward, right? Sounds so wimpy. Don't do that. You repeat back what they said. They've talked to you this entire time. We do an hour and a half for our consultations, but whatever yours is, you've been talking to them for a long time. So you're listening, you're taking notes. So what I'm hearing is you're tired of wasting money on the wrong pieces. So the next step is I'm going to send you a scope of work based on what we've talked about today. We'll turn that into a proposal. If you approve it, then we can turn that into an agreement. You lead the way is my point. You lead the way with the next steps, and you have all the information. You need to have all that information in your little bag, in your little brain, and spit that out to that client when you're speaking to them. Don't look to the client to give you that information. And always be one step ahead of them as well. The client experience, okay. Quiet is expensive, and I'd say that because we start these projects and we're excited about it and we're going along and we don't reach out to the client and their brain goes everywhere. Like, did they leave me? Did they take my money and run? When they don't know what happened, they're really, really stressed out. And I would be too if I just gave you a bunch of money. Like, they pay us, we don't do anything until they pay us the entire fee ahead of time. So they pay us 50% when they sign the agreement, and then 30 days later at the project direction board meeting, they pay us the rest of that. Then they're done with the creative fee. So if they turn all that over to us and they've just paid me $150,000, they need to know that we're still here, that we're still doing things for them. So when clients don't know what happens, it's going to be frustrating for them. They're going to want to know what's going on. But the key is over-communication builds that trust, and under-communication will break that trust in a second. I figured this out during COVID when, there was like, can I go to their house? What do we have to wear? Do we have to wipe things down? We're all wiping down our frozen foods in the kitchen, right? So it's like, can I even go to this client's house? And we did. But I started over-communicating, you guys, like nobody's business. I didn't just do a weekly update. I wrote to them like 3 or 4 times a week, like we were pen pals. And they loved it. And it didn't come from like someone on my team either. It came from me. And they loved knowing that I cared enough to take care of them, to give them steps of what we're going to do. We're going to wear masks. We're going to stay 6 feet apart. We're going to do all of these things, because they wanted to know that we were there to protect them. So I took that over communication, and then I kind of amped up all of our other communications as well. So now we talk to clients a lot, more than just once a week. And I know you're thinking like, oh yeah, I see them or whatever. I'm talking about a specific thing that you reach out for to them. So and I'm going to show you how to do your weekly updates in a second. So on your weekly updates, don't try to be perfect and fancy and all these things. But first of all, who does a weekly update? All right, good. Don't feel bad if you don't. Or kind of feel bad if you don't. But we're going to make you feel good. Again, the weekly update is that touch point. It becomes old hat for us. It just becomes so natural. We're writing things down during the week, and we're taking notes with that as we do them. And then that comes as a compilation at the end of the week when we send that out to them. You can do it on a Friday, on a Monday, whatever. Just be consistent with it. Just let them know that you're going to get a weekly update. On this day, it's going to say this. It's going to talk about, what we completed this week. I don't care if you didn't do anything that week. If you were just still working on selecting the same things for the living room, let them know. Let them know. They want to know that you are still doing something for them, even if it's the same thing that you were doing last week, okay? You have to keep them updated. Tell them what's next. So in our 18 steps, for instance, I say, okay, we're on step 6. We're about to move into step 7. Once you get me this, we can do that. So they love knowing that they can follow that step and that process with us, and that we keep them updated with that. Also tell them what decisions are needed. So if they do owe you a decision on something, give them that. Give them a deadline. Everyone needs a deadline. So please don't just leave it out there in the middle of nowhere for them to decide. Tell them you need to know in a week, because they're going to take 2 weeks if you don't. And then just general update. So if you want something general, or we kind of throw some things in there sometimes, like, hey, we were just at market and we saw this piece of art, and we'll put that into the weekly update as well. Even if they weren't really sourcing that necessarily, they feel special with that. So we don't text with our clients at all. They don't even have our cell phone number. So this is our main mode of consistent communication. In addition to, they can call the office, of course, or email. But I love the weekly update, because it is this like personal newsletter. It's like their own personal newsletter that they get every week about their project and about what we did for them. So it's really, really important that you guys do that. The newsletter, by the way, so this is different than, of course, the weekly update. So your newsletter is what we talked about earlier. So this is when I say this. So when you finish the project, don't end that conversation with the client. Don't just say, all right, see you later, like we're done. Like, no, keep them on your list. Have that newsletter that keeps you top of mind, that lets them know, oh, they just finished an outdoor project. I didn't even know they could do outdoor. Wow, okay, I might call them to do my outdoor. We think that they're not reading it. Like I do my podcast, I record it from home, and I think nobody hears it. And then I hear somebody walk up to me at market and tell me like how amazing that they had this result from something that I said. So I say this because when you are silently putting things out there in a newsletter that you feel aren't going anywhere, that you feel no one's reaching it, they are. They really, really are. And then, you can make it fun. You're at market now. This is like content palooza. Literally, you can like talk about everything that you see here. And that's we always do a market recap newsletter for our clients, and they love it. In addition to following my stories, they also love to see like what the specific things that we found, because if it's in our wheelhouse of design and they're our client, 9 times out of 10, they're going to like the same things that you find, right? So it's important to keep that going. And then it'll nurture the future client. So it'll nurture them. They might forward it to their friend. All these people are going to probably have their eyes on this if you do it correctly. And then there should be a space also on your website and in your bio on Instagram where they can sign up for your newsletter. And if a newsletter feels overwhelming to you, just do it. Just like start doing it. Make it a regular habit. Pick Friday. Friday's my newsletter day. I'm going to spend an hour, put this together, go into Flowdesk, do a newsletter. You're going to feel so much better. And then when you start doing it more and more and more, it's going to be old hat. It's going to be so easy to keep doing that once you figure out how to do that. But the power of a newsletter is amazing. Better communication equals better clients, as I said. Clear is better than being clever. Don't try to use these like clever little phrases or cutesy things. Like, no, be very, very clear with them. Specific is better than vague, always. Never be vague in the messaging. Never be vague about what you do or how you work or who you serve. Specific, specific, specific. And then confident is always greater than cautious. Clients hire us because they want someone to be decisive. Don't wishy-washy with them. Don't say, oh, I don't know. Have an answer for that client. And if you don't have the answer, come back the next day with the answer, okay? Don't lie, but tell them that you'll get back to them. But my point is this. They want to work with someone who is confident as a designer. And when you put that out with your messaging written and verbal, it's this massive, massive, massive powerhouse of messaging that will really just bring those people to you that are your clients. So here's something I want you guys to take a screenshot of. So know what to say online. We've talked about that. Now here's what I want you to say when you're in person with someone. So instead of just saying, I'm an interior designer, right? We all are, duh. I want you to come up with a phrase, and this is more like a conversational thing. So you can say something like, you know how whatever target audience you're working with struggles with this problem. Our firm provides this service, handling every detail so that they can have this result or this feeling or this outcome. That's it. I'll show you how this looks when you kind of put it all together. So if someone says, what do you do? Well, you know how busy professionals want a stunning home that they can entertain in, but they're always paralyzed by making expensive mistakes? My firm handles every detail of the design process so that they can simply turn the key and finally feel at home. Who's not going to lean into that conversation? I mean, that beats the hell out of I run an interior design firm, right? That's like, oh my gosh, tell me more. Like you just literally told them what you're doing in a very conversational way and spin it to make it sound like you. But you see the point? It's just very conversational. It's very casual. It's not, and it's also very specific as well in what you're doing. So it's not just, I'm an interior designer, I live in Roanoke. No, it's like, I am this person who does this transformation. So find a way to say that. Think about what you're saying right now to people when they ask you what you do at these events. As I said before, if a colleague asked you that you've never met before, or some realtor, our pipeline of realtors is huge. As I said, it's our biggest one. And so I never want to say anything to a realtor that's not going to bring in more clients to us. So I always have something that I say to them where I know that it's going to resonate with them and allow them to bring more people to us. Moral of the story for all of this is, say less, mean more with what you say, and then get paid for the transformation that you provide, right? That's how this all wraps up in a nice little bow. If I were to take all of this and encapsulate it, that's how I feel. That's the takeaway I want you guys to have from this, okay? If you want to join the seminar, the webinar on the 13th, it's $47, and it's a live Claude webinar. We're going to set Claude up together. We're going to set your back end up together like the way it's supposed to be. We're going to go into the settings. I'm going to show you how to do skills, all these things. It's live. There will be a recording, but I would love to have you there if you want to actually finally get AI to try to sound more like you versus just like a bunch of generic words that it's pumping out, because it does pump those out if we let it, okay? And I love Claude. Claude's my favorite now. I still use Chat for some things. I called Claude my English teacher and Chat's my science teacher because they're both like two different things. But I've set up Claude in so detailed ways. It's saving me about 20 hours a week for work. No kidding, like it's insane. Okay, that is the end of my yabble dabble rabble, but I'm ready to answer questions for anybody who has any questions about anything at all. I'm an open book. Thank you all so much, by the way. Hello.
You're fabulous. I loved you.
Say that louder.
He's fabulous. I can tell everybody. I've been following
Here's that
him
20,
for
I
a long
promise you.
time, and I think he just expresses himself so beautifully.
You're so sweet. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Okay. My question is.
That's it. I thought you were just going to praise me. Oh.
What do you charge for the initial consultation? Do you?
Yes, always charge for the consultation. Yeah. So the discovery call is free, of course, right. And then we charge $650 for the consultation. Okay. And it's an hour and a half in their home, and then we give ourselves roughly 30 minutes to go back and put the scope of work together afterwards. Yeah. Always charge. I feel, again, my opinion, always charge for those consultations because it does set you up on a precedence for that client to know how they're working with someone professional. By the way, when you have a simple booking system on your website, like if they booked that discovery call with you, that alone shows that you have a process. Like, oh, they have a calendar booking system. That shows that you're organized more than you think. So these little signals that we put out are really critical for that.
So I was going to ask the same question, only with a second half. So second half, how do you discuss the consultation fee without that turning into a sales pitch?
You just say it. You just say, "This. You sound like a great fit for us. Based upon what you've said, I can tell that we've worked with clients like you before. Our consultation is $650. It's an hour and a half in your home, and then we give you a scope of work. And we'll send you a link after we're done with this meeting, and you can schedule it." So just say it. Say it like that. Don't put any emotion into it. We're also afraid of selling. If you change the word selling to serving, it will change your whole mindset about it. You're going to feel like you're helping that person. And by helping that person, by you seeing that you can help them through that discovery call, and you know that consultation is the logical next step, that's just how you work, you just say it, right? And don't put any emotion behind it. Don't put any feeling behind it. You're going to.
That's what I'm doing.
You are. No, you are. I can tell. Yeah. Like, yes, I can tell. As I always say, what's expensive to me is not expensive to Oprah, right? So it's money is neutral. Just make it a neutral thing. Make it a very simple informational thing. Just think of it as you're helping them to finish the transformation that you're brought in to do, okay? Yeah. Get your head out of the game, yeah. Hi.
Thank you. I have a question about you mentioned your 18-step process several times. And I recognize we're running a business. I've been doing this for 8 years. You're more experienced than me, but I always talk about the human factor that comes into changing our process for a specific client. And so I'm just wondering, you sounded so confident when you said, I have an 18-step process, this is it. But that human factor plays in, does it, or does it not?
I mean, it could, but it's not going to change it's not going to change my timeline. It's not going to change what the next step is in that process. It might change how I speak to that person. You know, I might put my hand on their shoulder as I say it or whatever, or stroke their hair, but I'm still going to ask for that same thing to happen at the end. It's still, when you have a process, I've tried everything, you guys. I've tried every single thing. And by the way, my agreement is 26 pages. That's how long I'm so detailed with things. Clients love knowing that we have this, and the right clients will appreciate that for you. The wrong clients will not. So if someone's coming in trying to change your process or trying to change the way you work, you don't need to work with them. No matter how great the project is, you know deep down that you work best when you do these 18 steps and that you do follow these things up. That is how you run your business, and it is a business. So you can speak to that person differently, but never ever should you change the fundamental ways of your process. It never works out. Never works out. So, yeah, you're welcome.
Sorry. Okay.
Hi.
How are you? In fact, how are you again? We spoke yesterday, and you mentioned.
We know that.
Oh, sorry. You mentioned the 18 step.
You're in my program. You know the 18 steps.
I know, but I don't remember. Maybe
You're fired.
Okay.
Get out.
I mean, I do remember the steps, but when you mention it to the client on the
Not on the discovery call. Discovery call, you're keeping it in phases. So my discovery call is we work in these phases, right? So I take those 18 steps and I combine them into phases depending upon what we're trying to do. And then on the consultation, I do mention the steps. I do let them know that we have these steps in place. And then I don't necessarily review all of them, but I say we have 18 steps that we follow. That makes sure that we're taking care of you the way that your project needs to be taken care of. And then I even say we have more steps inside of our firm that we do, like more things that we follow that you don't even see, that make sure that broken lamp gets taken care of, that make sure that the installer is there on the right day, whatever that is. So you don't want to ruin their buzz, so to speak, of calling you on that discovery call and just be that Debbie Downer of like, okay, well, here's my processes and here's what I do. No, they want to know, I'm called you, you're going to fix it. I have phases to fix that. And that's how you should approach the discovery call, with just more general, but also it does set the tone that you do have a plan in place.
Okay.
Yeah.
And thank you so much. I really like your course.
Thank you. Get back in there. I do a flat fee. Yeah, I have a calculator. I have a calculator that I've created, and you put the scope of work in the calculator, and then it calculates your flat fee automatically per project. I love it. Hey.
Hey, do you have them prepay that consultation?
Yeah. We don't take credit cards, but the only thing we do take credit cards for is the consultation, because I want them to book it on the website with our calendar linked to that. So when we finish the discovery call, if it was a fit, an automatic email goes out that says, thank you so much. We'd love to continue this conversation. Here is the link to schedule your consultation. As we mentioned, the fee is $650. Click here to pay for that and schedule that. So they have to schedule that. They have to pay for that before they schedule it. And then they also have to answer a more detailed questionnaire as well before that too. So again, it's putting them in the place of having some ownership over their project, having some ownership of the processes that we do. So yes, we definitely require payment before that.
And if they cancel, is it refundable?
I give them, you can do what you want. I give them 48 hours to cancel. Obviously, if somebody's sick, we're common sense. We're not going to be dictators with it. But if they need to cancel for a valid reason, then yeah. But the thing is, it's going to stop those no-shows. Like I had someone that I coached the other day, and she said that she did all these things for this potential client, and prepared this presentation. And I said, for what? She said, the consultation. I said, okay, keep talking. And so she kept talking. And then she said, I pulled up and no one was at the house. Like I sat there for 20 minutes. And finally I called her and she was like, oh my God, I'm in Pilates. I totally forgot about that. And guess what? She hadn't gotten payment for it. So she waited 20 more minutes for the lady to come over to the consultation. And then she showed up in her Pilates outfit and everything, and she had time to stop and get a Starbucks on the way, she said, though. She had a Starbucks in her hand, and she had no payment for that at all. Never got the client. The client didn't move forward. All she wanted to do was pick her brain on things. So when you pre-vet those people out by the messaging on the website and also by the prepayment of things, they're going to have some skin in the game, and I guarantee you they won't treat you the way that they do. I learned that the hard way as well, yeah. I'll let her use the microphone.
You said the power of a newsletter is amazing. And
The power of what?
of a newsletter.
Oh, yeah, it is.
How often are you blasting that out?
We just do it once a month.
Okay.
Yeah, we do once a month, and we have fun with it. So, like, let's at Thanksgiving, for instance, I'll be like my grandmother's, stuffing recipe, things like that. So, don't always have to be design related. They need to also know you as a human being too. But yeah, we do once a month.
Thank you.
I have my team. I say, okay, you give me ideas, you give me an idea, or if you're, going through the month and you see something that would be a great topic, just jot it down and keep a note of that, or pick up AI and speak into your phone with it. I keep a note section on my phone of like running topics is what yeah. Yeah, I know, right? That finding them is the problem, right? Hey.
Hi, John. You're just as great as in person as on Instagram.
Aw, thank you.
Thanks for your presentation.
You're
So
welcome.
I was curious, I know you said you charge flat fee, but do you do it by square foot? Or how do you do it? Because I hear from, I've been to different seminars here and heard 3 different things.
Yeah, so no, I've tried everything. And if you're new, I do suggest that you still stay hourly because you don't have any data to back up what you're doing. So it's always better to start with hourly and get paid for what you're doing and then have them prepay in like a lump sum of a retainer fee per month, and you kind of work in arrears that way. No, at the consultation, we write the scope of work. The scope of work is detailed, very, 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 very detailed. It is not, I'm going to redesign your living room. It's that we're going to do 2 sofas, and we're estimating, but still, we have to have a place to start. So 2 sofas, 1 coffee table, 2 end tables, 4 toss pillows, a 9x12 rug, a chandelier, 2 lamps, like a bookcase, whatever. We are so detailed on the scope of work, and we ask the client to then review. So that scope of work is the deliverable, if you will, for doing the consultation. They like it because, and I say this every time, I say, we're going to give you a scope of work. It's going to be very detailed. You can decide to do that on your own, or you can work with us. Most people, 99.9%, work with us because we can handle all of that so easily. But we send the scope of work back over and we say, review this. Let us know if we missed anything. Let us know if something's erroneous, whatever. And then they write back and say, oh, I think actually I don't want to do this room. I want to do that. Or like, no, I don't need a new sofa there. We'll take that out. It keeps the conversation going. So it's another touch point for them as a business working relationship, but it also firms up what they want to do. Then they give me the scope of work, final approval on an email, and they haven't signed anything yet, by the way. We're still in that phase of consultation, right? Once they give me the scope of work, I then put that into my designer calculator that I created, and then that calculator, I don't even have to do the fees anymore. People on my team started doing them because I don't even have to be involved because the calculator kind of adds that up. So you put your time in on the back end of the calculator for what it takes you to do very, very specific things. And then when you upload your scope of work into it, it will output the fee for that. So no, it's not, it will tell you the square footage based upon what you did. But the only way you're going to be able to charge effectively for a client is to put their scope of work. And then that scope of work becomes the Bible for everything that you do. That scope of work becomes part of the proposal, it becomes part of the agreement, it becomes everything. It prevents scope creep. If they're like, oh, I really want to do this, well, that wasn't on the scope of work, so that's going to be additional. So no, I don't ever do it by square foot because the square foot of this house is not going to be the square foot of this house. I base it on exactly what we're doing for that client on that scope of work in my calculator. Price comes out, I know it's for them, and I tell them, this is not a generic number. We made this number for you. This number is based on your project, based on your scope of work. So it's very specific. This is not what the Smiths got yesterday. This is what you got today because this is your house based on what you told me.
And that includes design creativity and project management or implementation?
No,
Or is
it's
that
just a creative fee.
Okay.
I'm only pricing creative at that point.
Okay.
And then depending upon how much we move forward with it, we can do I call it project fulfillment, not project management. But yeah, it determines what we do for project fulfillment at that point.
And is that a flat fee or a percent?
I do a flat fee. If you're not familiar with your work, again, if you don't have any data to back it up, then you should do hourly for that as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's very helpful.
But I don't want clients to think that we're managing their project. Bye, guys. You're welcome. I don't want them to think I'm ever managing their project. We're just fulfilling the
Yeah.
design intent, which is why I changed the terminology on that. And when I changed the terminology on that, now I have clients coming to us, apologizing to us when contractors are late. Ta-da! Isn't that great? I'm not joking. we have site visits planned, and they're like, John, I'm so sorry, you can't come over. The bathroom is still in because they sign. I make them sign with the contractor directly. We don't filter it through our company. So it's like this magic button that hit me one night, and I was like 5 years ago or 6 years ago, I was like, yes, that's what we're going to, and it changed everything. No. Procurement of product is a totally separate conversation. We once had a client who we finished the presentation, a 3-hour presentation, massive house, every single thing. And she was like, John, actually, we're gonna sell the house and we don't really want to follow through with the design plan. I said, okay, well, you've paid me $76,000, so we're good. We're good. Here are the things if you want to give this to the new owner and move on. So I didn't have to worry about making all my profit from product is my point. My profit was made from my creative fee. Yeah, which I always want. I want it to be that way. I want it to be where I don't have to order product to make my business successful financially. I want to be able to make that from the creativity. And clients will push past your creativity if you don't force them to value that. They're going to push past that, and they're not going to value it if you don't value that. So when you let them change your steps, and when you let them change your process, and when you let them try to negotiate pricing, the only negotiations that we do is removing things from that scope of work to make the price different. That's the only thing we do. We never say, oh, we'll do this for less. Never, never, never. We will take that room off, or we'll take that thing off, because the scope of work was like their dream wish, right? It's like their Barbie dream home. That's what that was. And then if they can't afford the Barbie dream home, then we're going to take off separate rooms of that till they can afford the home that they want. And then we're just doing less work for what they're paying for. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yeah.
This might be backtracking a little bit, but you mentioned contractors. Were you saying that you don't recommend contractors in like your part of your process? Like, let's say you're on a new build project and you saw Joe Schmo, like tile installer, he'd be great and would fit the price point for that new build project. Would you recommend Joe Schmo or no?
Well, I mean, most new builds are going to have the builder's going to have their own subs to work with typically. But I know are you saying if I bring someone in,
Yes, if they so I had an instance where the tile installer was like double the allotment for that build.
Yeah.
And I knew a tile guy that was still as great quality.
Oh, yeah.
Would you recommend doing that? Because then the builder now calls him my guy, and I'm like, he's not my guy.
Yeah, no, I do.
Just fit the budget.
I agree, and we do that. I think my point is we never filter that through our company. So I would never invoice the client for the work that person did.
I got you.
And what I tell the client is, I'm not going to recommend anyone to you. I'm going to give you people that we have worked with before. The end result, the conclusion, the decision is yours to make. I don't want any responsibility for that. I want you to decide. I want you to interview them. I want to put that on your plate, right? And I know some clients don't want that, but you kind of just have to tell them this is how you operate. But no, I might recommend. We have builders who, like my woodworker is amazing, and so I will bring him into a lot of new constructions because I know how great he is. I know that he's going to do so well. And so that's the one caveat where I do filter that through my company, because he's doing custom built-ins and things like that are more furniture type products, right? Versus like install hardwood floor. Like, no, I would never order hardwood floor. I would never have no, none of that. It's not worth it. It's just not worth it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anybody else? All right. They said we just stay as long as we wanted to. They don't have anything else, so.
So you said that you do procurement, but that's separate from your creative fee.
Yes.
How do you charge hourly for that? Are you just offering it as a service and then taking the back end?
We're making money from the procurement management fee that we have. So the profit margin is what we will add on to the product. Mm-hmm. And then that's how we encapsulate all of that into one for that. And then when they order the product, they also pay I call production, which covers their shipping and warehousing for 6 months and delivery to their home as well. Yeah, it's just like clients wanted it. You have to know your numbers to do that, though. You can't just guesstimate on that. You have to know if you're going to put 30% on there, does that cover receiving, inspection, delivery, all those things. And so you need to, again, at the end of the project, pull out that data and look back on it to make sure that it's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I can speak loudly. I deal a lot with antiques. That was my main thing. And so when I go down and I get these things for, clients, it's much different fee structure, obviously,
Totally,
and
totally.
they love getting a deal and blah, blah. I mean, even if I find it on Facebook Marketplace,
That's a different
right?
animal. You're right.
And so they love to say, like, well, what is it? And it's like, well, this was a $6,000 piece. I got it for you at auction at $500. I mean, this happens very regularly. And that's kind of what I pride myself on, is I can find anything for anybody. But how do you charge for that? Because it's really hard to say, okay, I can go to the antique store down the road. I can, I can get this for $6,000, but I got it for you for $5,000. And so I want to. And they can look this up easily. I mean, we are sitting there on the phone, like bidding together. I have their, max on what they're going to go for, but it's really difficult to have that conversation. Well, actually, I deserve, double what you even paid for this because I brought this to you.
What is your standard way of doing that? What do you do?
It just depends. I mean, a lot of times I'm like at 25% of whatever they bid on, but I don't think it's enough because a lot of times I'm, you're traveling, you got your expense and you're going through all of this and you might show them 10 items and they buy one. And it's really difficult. It's so much easier. And I think that's why a lot of designers, they go into showrooms and they buy it. It's already a guaranteed, but that's not my market. I mean, my big thing is combining old and new.
Yeah, no, stay in your lane for sure.
Yeah.
That's what you're known for. I think there's other ways to make profit from that. So first of all, I think you should have a minimum that you will tell a client. A minimum on every product that I order for you is going to be this percentage of procurement fee. I don't care what it is, right?
Okay.
I also think in your case, you might be better having minimums for, or even just saying, I'm going to charge hourly for this time that it takes me to find that, to travel, to do all
Great
these
idea.
things, and then build that into your process too, rather than just saying, I'm going to source this for you.
Okay.
Let them know, like for us, if there's a project that's out, I think it's like 75 miles or something, we charge an additional travel fee for that, even for the consultation.
Okay.
So look at all the times, go back and look at it and say, okay, this time it took me this long to get there and I spent
Yeah.
this amount of money and I had to stay overnight and then
Yeah.
da-da-da-da. Think about all the situations that you've had
Okay.
and what you wanted to make off of that, and try to come up with a formula for yourself that says, okay, my travel time is this, or my fee to do this. Maybe it's a flat fee per product. Maybe it's a flat fee to do that per product that you charge, and just kind of roll that into the thing, rather than trying to make but you're right, you can't make the profit as clear as you can from something like from Universal as you do from an antique, because it's just a different animal.
Yeah.
So I would try to do it on the back end of things is what I would try to do.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Hi, John. I was curious, does your spec book look like? Do you have it all online with QR codes?
Meaning, what do you, my spec?
Like what you provide for the builder and even maybe a
Oh.
copy for the client? Is it like all online? Will you update it like every time there's a change and everyone can see the update?
We
and
use
there's
House
QR
Pro, so in
codes?
House Pro, everything is in there for their selections and approvals, and then you can generate the actual FF&E from that. But we also have a separate Excel spreadsheet for FF&E too that we use, and we can bring that to the general contractor.
Okay. And do you feel like the general contractor requires that for you to get your foot in the door with the higher end clients? Or
An FF&E? Or-
no, like a very, very detailed, easy to view for everybody online system?
No, most of them don't even go online to do it. No.
Okay, yeah.
No. I mean, the
Okay.
easiest way to do it is to try to accommodate the people who will go online.
Yeah.
Like we've started using a QR code on the job site where they can scan the code and it goes to a Google Drive or goes to
Yeah,
whatever
yeah.
folder we want. So it's there all the time. For those people who will do it, but that doesn't mean we don't plaster like a billboard, on the actual wall itself of the
Yeah.
plans and specifications, because everyone's not going to read that. Or maybe,
Yeah.
sometimes they can't read English. I mean, let's be honest about it, right?
Yes.
And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just the way it is. So if we put something there and it's not easy for them, and they don't take the time to do that, then it's a waste of our time. So I would try to do both, maybe like a digital version for those that do it, but maybe you also schedule more time with your contractor and actually meet about it in person,
Yeah.
rather than just assuming that they're doing that. Go ahead and schedule that meeting to do the actual review, so that you know they're going to do that. Like one thing we do before we even order anything for a home, we make a spreadsheet and we have everyone involved on the project sign off on it, on what they're ordering. So the contractor knows that he's ordering this, and he can't come back to the end and say, oh, no, John, you were supposed to be ordering the countertops. Like, no, that was never done. So we stop and do that ahead of time too, so that there's a detailed list of who's responsible for what products to order. So I would suggest having more meetings with them to cover that.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. And one last question, do you have what do you do to elevate the client experience? Do you give additional marketing packets along the way? Do you give them gifts along the way? What do you do?
We do a nice, at the install, no, not really along the way. I mean, we have at the presentation, we do, wine and cheese and champagne and all that stuff, snacks. And then, I mean, I have a coffee table book, so it's easy for me to give them something, when we go. But if it's a client that we know has been traveling, we'll do like a gift basket of like snacks and things in there. But we always do something at the end of the project for them. The other thing that we do is it's kind of an incentive for taking photos, letting us in to take photos. We will give them a printed photo book of all the photos that we took of the project as a keepsake at the end, and they like that a lot. And we make a big to-do of that and wrap it and, another little bottle of Vouv or something to go with it.
Okay, that's nice. Yeah, I've done that, but I haven't turned it into a book, so that's cool.
Yeah, it's nice.
Okay.
And they can show it to their family, and it's kind of marketing for yourself, too.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Back to the marketing topic. She has one over here.
Oh, sorry. During the consultation, I understand that you're developing a really in-depth scope of work. Are you giving any design advice if they ask you a quick question like, are you?
Yeah, of course. I'm not gonna, they're paying for it, so I'm not going to withhold information. That's the beauty of when someone's paying for something, you can do that. I also tell them that I get my best ideas the next day, and that I'm not this they can't just rapid fire stuff at me with me just we're gonna knock this down and do that. And I can see some things, but some things have to sort of ruminate in my little pea brain too. And so I wake up the next day and I have as you all probably do too, you have the best ideas the very next day. Oh, I didn't think about that. And so that's why I don't like to do too many final decisions on the consultation part of it. I like to sort of leave it up in the air. But yeah, if we all go in and we all see some things, well, that definitely has to go, or that definitely has to change, or whatever. Yeah, I definitely say that for sure. But I don't withhold information. No, I don't. That's why they're paying us for that time.
And do you kind of let them know that ahead of time? Like, this isn't me designing your whole house. Here's what we're going to do, and you explain.
Yeah. I've actually started recording the entire conversation, and I let them know, and then I upload that into AI, and then I actually help that develop my scope of work and the proposal plan and everything. It's much easier that way. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're welcome. Y'all are wearing me out today, aren't you?
Well, I'm going to go back to kind of the beginning of your presentation. So
nobody remembers that.
I do, because it sticks with me, and I never ever have the nerve to ask these questions. And I do panels like this all the time, and then I'm still tweaking things and making myself sound fancy and all of this other shit, forgive me, on my website, my Insta, and all these other things. And trying to find that happy medium of who I am. Like when I find my clients, and even during my discovery calls and stuff, they get weeded out because they figure out who I am. And I'm a tomboy and I'm all of these things. And most clients are reaching out expecting the pretentious, pretty, all put together designer. And I'm like, hi, I'm me. I'll sound like your contractor, dude. Yeah. But I don't know how to market that so it comes across authentic on my website and stuff without it sounding crass.
There's lots of ways. You can talk about the experience that you have. You can say, I went to this house and I did this. And I think more experiential things would help that versus just saying, I'm a tomboy, whatever. You need to say, oh, I did this and I helped the contractor, I don't know, carry the tile in or whatever it was, something that lets them know that you're down to earth, that nothing's beneath you, that you're that designer that cares, that you are the person who will do whatever it takes to get things done. And yes, I love beautiful design, but I'm also common sense and I will work hard on your project. Things like that. That sounds more just simple, right? Just not so, you don't have to just tell them everything. But I think that where you could actually do that more would be on social media. You could actually get that to go a longer way on social media than your website, because you could actually show examples of you on a job site, film yourself walking around, show them with you in the environment, show them what you're thinking and saying and how you look, and then they're going to either pick up on your voice and want to work with you or not. And even if you do it in a story, you can just save that as a highlight, right, in the story of site visits and that recap. I think that's a very, very simple way for you to do that. Whatever way that you're saying that you are different, capture it and then make it a place where people can go. We all forget that our Instagram is kind of like a website in a lot of ways. It can totally be treated like a website because it will live there if you let it. So put something there that can live on and on, where people get to know you more and talk about it. Just interview yourself. Like, sit down and talk about the things that you do and then post about it. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, you're welcome. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing that you're different. I would, if I were a client and I knew that you would do those type of things for me, that would make me very happy to know that you are not going to be hands off on things. You're going to actually care so much that you want to see things, get done. Yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. I hope this was helpful. Good luck on everything, fixing those messaging, and I hope to see you soon.